The poverty rate reached its highest point yet during the pandemic last month at 11.7%. That's according to researchers at the Universities of Chicago and Notre Dame, who are using monthly census data to capture the coronavirus's financial impact in real time. Tonight, as part of our firsthand Living in Poverty series, we take a look at the pandemic's impact on poverty. Joining us are Bruce Meyer, professor at the University of Chicago Harris School of Public Policy. He's currently researching the pandemic's impact on poverty in the U.S. And Audra Wilson, the president and CEO of the Shriver Center on Poverty Law. Welcome back to Chicago tonight, both of you. Audra Wilson, let's start with you, please. How has the pandemic impacted poverty in the U.S.?
Unfortunately, Brandis, our economy still remains weak. The job recovery has lost some momentum, and there are millions fewer jobs than there was a year ago. And Black and Latino unemployment is much higher, so around 9.9% and 8.55% respectively, which is well above the white unemployment rate. And that itself is too high. And the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, projects that the economy is not going to return until its full potential until about 2025. The number of people who are employed will not be re-employed until or reaching post-pandemic levels until 2024, and unemployment's not going to fall until about 2026. So this is still a very difficult period of time, and there's a lot of hardship for many Americans, especially among Black, Latino, and Indigenous people and immigrants.
A long road ahead, it sounds like. Bruce Meyer, you've been following COVID's impact on poverty by using monthly census data. From your research, March saw the highest poverty rate in the pandemic so far at 11.7%. Why do you think that is?
Well, the rescue plan dollars hadn't been paid out quite yet when the census conducted the survey. I expect that the poverty rate will fall quite a bit given the payments and the expanded unemployment insurance, but people were without jobs for a long time and their incomes had fallen over the year and poverty rose. It's been a bit of a roller coaster.
To say the least, I'm sure. Earlier today, we spoke with Hillary Waldron at Marillac St. Vincent Family Services on the West Side. She leads the homebound food program for older residents. Now, here's what she said about COVID's impact on the older residents they serve, who are often on fixed incomes. Let's listen.
I think one of the challenges of COVID is that everybody was under stress. So there was no one group could say, I can carry your burden for you, because everybody was carrying an additional burden. And so these informal networks and these ways that we've helped each other in the past were under an extreme amount of stress.
Audra, what is the long-term impact for folks who are either currently living in poverty or falling into poverty right now?
Well, I'm glad that Bruce mentioned the American Recovery Act, or Rescue Plan, excuse me. That's extraordinarily important because there were very key provisions to help lift people out of poverty. But what we really need to look for is to make sure that we make some of these permanent. One of the biggest parts of the Rescue Plan is making the full child tax credit available to 27 million children in families with low or no income, and increasing the earned income tax credit. So these are very important provisions if we're thinking about the long-term future. But now, quite frankly, is the time to seize this moment. That we've seen just how COVID has exposed the structural inequities that we deal with in Black and Brown communities. But where there are opportunities for us to be able to move forward, not only with the rescue plan, but other sorts of provisions, both federally and locally, to be able to help families once and for all.
Bruce, your research also shows that those with a high school education or less had a poverty rate of about 22% in March. Black Americans saw a poverty rate of about 21%, and child poverty reached a high of about 17%. Bruce, what do these numbers tell you about who is being impacted?
Well, the impact of the pandemic on poverty has been very uneven across time and across different communities. So those with low education, Blacks, women, children, and those in states that have had a hard time paying out unemployment insurance have all seen their poverty rates go up much more than other groups.
And Audra, what can be done to help those who are living in poverty? And You know, we've talked about the stimulus, but is this latest stimulus that's been passed, is that a start?
I mean, certainly it's a start, but it can't stop there. So, as I mentioned before, it's important to make some of the provisions of the rescue plan permanent. We really need to be looking at expanding that child tax credit and earned income tax credit. We need to be locally thinking about not only increasing living wage, but we also have to look at things like paid sick leave and other sorts of income supports that can really help families with low wages be able to subsist and workers to be able to lift themselves out of poverty. As Bruce mentioned, the cumulative effect of COVID is what we're still seeing right now. So though these measures more immediately are helping to be able to get money into these families, we have to be thinking more long-term about how people are going to be able to recover. And increased income supports is going to be a key part of that recovery.
To that end, Bruce, you know, tonight the three of us have talked a lot about these income supports and credits for families and these federal programs. Does your research at all discuss the impact of something that we've heard a lot more about over the last year that hadn't really been talked about as much, the universal basic income?
Well, you can see in our numbers that the payments that went out last year reduced poverty quite dramatically. So not universal basic income, but expanded unemployment insurance and economic impact payments that sent cash payments to families. Those dramatically reduced poverty in the beginning of the recession. I think there are a lot of issues with universal basic income. You know, that's a whole nother topic, and I'm concerned with a universal basic income providing too much to people that don't need it and not enough to those that are really needy.
Right, that one has, it's gained a lot of controversy as well, but something that has been discussed more. That is where we'll have to leave it, and we'll talk about basic income next time. Audra Wilson and Bruce Meyer, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.